With your bid process, do you have a policy for how you accept the bids or turn them down, or?
No, not really. I don't believe we have any formal policy.
Before we start bidding stuff out, don't you think we ought to know what we're doing? Because like when you bid out the town audit, we had 2 bids, and you didn't accept either one of them, and you didn't put it back out to bid. You had made your own deal after.
The way it's always been done is when we put out a request for bids, we reserve the right to accept or reject any and all bids.
I realize that.
And that's the process we used on that one. We saved the town probably a couple $1,000s at least.
You saved the town this year a couple $1,000s, but now those people that bid on that will never bid again because you didn't resubmit the bids.
Well, not necessarily.
What do you? Well,
we've done this before, John, and they don't worry. If we go out to bid, they're going to look at it and bid on it if they think they have a chance of getting it. One of the problems is that I don't think this town personally can afford to spend $5,000 to $10,000 for an audit. It isn't necessary. It's not that complicated.
You may not think it's necessary, but there's.
Well, we're having an audit.
I disagree with you.
You think we ought to spend a lot more money on an audit than we do?
I think you should.
Is there something wrong with the current audit? I guess that's the question.
Well, it's every year in the town report it says this isn't up to the standards of whatever. Go back and look, every one of them.
This yours?
Yeah, sorry.
I did mine.
What I'm saying is nobody is going to bid after you shoot them down. They don't have a chance to resubmit a bid, and you're hurting the town because you're not going to have anybody bidding on anything here pretty soon, which may be what you want, but...
No, that's not what I want. I've always been, and will continue to be, in favor of a bidding process.
Well,
we always need to reserve the right to reject a set of bids that we believe are out of line with what the town can afford to pay and what the town needs.
Okay, well, why wasn't it resubmitted then?
Because we had
if you
an offer.
refused the bids, why didn't you put them back out?
I think there was many reasons why. One of them would be the time it takes to do it, and second, it would be that we had an offer at a price that was reasonable, so somebody that we've used before, and have no reason to suspect that we are not getting a good job done.
Then why didn't they bid on it at the same time when the other ones bid on it, if they're so good?
Ask them.
Yeah, I mean, I can't answer that other than hypothetical.
Well,
yeah,
that's the thing. They didn't bid on it. You refused the bids. Then you made your own deal 2 weeks after with the same one.
We didn't make a deal. He placed an offer, a bid. It was late, and we accepted that bid.
Well, let me
We
get
didn't
back.
negotiate and say.
Let me get back to my point. Do we need a bid policy to make sure that the bids are handled right?
As far as I'm concerned, the bid was handled right.
Oh, no.
The fact that you don't believe that it was handled right is a matter of opinion, and we have a difference, obviously.
We really do. Because you're going to have a lot of stuff.
Gentlemen, jump in. I don't.
Right. Well, when these bids come in, what I like to see done is, when these bids come in for the reevaluation, we get all these bids in and we open them. And once we put the price out there, what the bids are, we're going to have to go with one of them, because once it's public, I feel, once it's public, what these people have bid, I can't see us putting it back out there and rebidding it, because it's already public, and people are going to be able to bid more anyway, because they know what the previous bids were. So I feel when they come in, we open those bids with 15 or 20 bids or whatever, and once it's out there and it's public,
Right.
I feel we're gonna have to take one of those bids. We can't put it back out and have it rebid,
Well,
because
suppose-
people already know what the bids were.
What happened last
Now,
time?
let me ask you a question. Say the bid come in at $350,000. That was the lowest one we had. Are we forced to take that bid?
No, we're not forced to take, if it's the only one we have, no, we can reject it.
Our current policy is that we get the bids in, we open them appropriately.
Right.
And we look at them to see if they're within the range of what we feel we ought to pay for that service.
But another thing, Jim, I don't think we should read all these bids off and everybody knows what the
Yeah.
bids were, then we refuse them all, then send it back out to bid again, because people are gonna know what the bid is.
But if you open the bids,
But we ought
At a
to set,
prescribed
I
time,
think
you
we ought to
must make
set
them
a
a-
limit.
you have to make them public at that time.
Yeah, we have to make it public at that time.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, if we're gonna take one of those bids, we're gonna have to, we can't go ahead and say, well, why didn't this one bid, why didn't that one bid, and somebody else come in and bid. We can't accept any more bids after that, is what I'm
Bid,
saying.
This is why we need a
Once the
policy on the
bids are
bids.
in,
Exactly.
that's it. If we either accept one or we accept none of them.
If that's what you guys want to do, that's fine with me, but that's not a working situation for a
Yeah,
small
but see,
town.
they're closed bids, right?
They're closed bids. At the point that we come in, we did not have a bid that we felt was appropriate for that service. And so we didn't accept any of them. At that point, we can do anything that we want to do, as long as we do it in the public, and we did.
Okay. Once we do it in all right, I'm gonna say, if we refuse all of those bids, and then they go back out to bid
It
again.
wasn't done in public though, the way you guys did that.
No, it wasn't.
You
we do that
made
in the
personal
What bids are we
phone
talking
calls
about?
to this other guy.
What bids are we talking about?
The auditor.
The auditor, we read them off right here.
We run
Right,
them off
but
right
this,
before the meeting.
this deal with the auditor was made like 2 weeks after
Yeah, I
you
understand,
guys
I know what, I
rejected the
understand,
bids.
I know what you're saying.
Vera called twice and, emailed twice and called.
Okay, do you
And
have,
then they came in
Yeah,
on,
I
on
know
an
what happened.
email.
I'm
I
all
didn't
for, I'm all for
They didn't
saving money,
submit a
but
bid.
the way you handle these bids, and there's gonna be a lot more bids going out, you gotta have something that, you know, it's gonna make people wanna bid in good faith, so they know that if it's rejected, if you reject them all, then you can resubmit the bid.
Right.
And then everybody can
If
bid
we
on it
reject them
again.
all, yeah. Everybody can bid again, yeah.
But making your own deal after the fact, everybody knowing what you bid on, what the bids were, that's no good.
Jim?
Do you know what I'm
just a
saying?
minute, no.
Jim, I
Yes.
don't want happen this time what happened with the audit bid. I did not agree with that. I didn't like it
Yeah.
because I felt if we rejected the bid, everything should have been resubmitted again. Not make a phone call to anybody, or email anybody and ask them why they didn't bid. Did they put a bid in?
Right.
Of course they would go lower because they already knew what the other bids were because we put public. What I want to see happen
Okay.
this time, if we go ahead and we go ahead
I'll get to
and-
you, Don.
Yep.
and we go ahead
Same subject.
and we reject all of these bids, then we can go ahead and put it out again for bid.
Okay, Vera.
For clarification, the email went out before you guys opened up the bids.
Okay?
Claire?
Was there any other conversations after that
Came in after.
with, I don't see as it,
I emailed him long before the bids were open, and he didn't respond till after, saying that he had just gotten back to the office and.
But
Then it shouldn't have been
Right,
accepted.
right. See, one
Was
thing,
it up to me?
we have a
Was it up
deadline.
to me?
Wait a minute.
On these bids right now, we have a deadline. On March 31st, they have to be in the office March 31st. Any bids after that,
You
it's not
guys had your
accepted.
bids in on time. Everybody knew what the deadline was.
nobody's arguing that. Okay, Donna, go
Well,
ahead.
clarification, Vera, I don't mean to argue with you, but you did say that night, when Jim asked you if Keel Hood had got a hold of you, you said no, and you told her to go and talk to him again.
Right, that's fine.
Okay?
What's wrong with that?
I emailed it before
Folks,
that though,
Let me clarify something for you, okay? And this is the way business is done all the time.
Well, wait a minute.
We went out,
Oh,
listen
no.
carefully.
No, 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 no.
Don't get up.
Never mind.
You don't want us taking
Okay.
this attitude, don't you take it. Yes. You don't want us to get upset and holler, don't you do it.
Then make sure that you aren't as belligerent as a group as you have been. Now, I'm trying to
We
get.
have-
We have a right to.
I want
I'm gonna ask you a question, sir. When you signed that goddamn thing for being a selectman, what did it say on there? Well, something about doing the Constitution to the best of my ability and doing the main state laws. Think about that when you go home tonight.
Of course I do.
Think about it a little bit.
Let me.
What you signed. Okay, let's calm down.
We have the right to go out to bid for purposes. If we,
It wasn't
Don't-
handled right, you know it.
You have the right to refuse the bids, but I don't
I
feel you
think
have a
we
right
do.
to announce out.
Well, I hate to
that you
bid it
got-
back over
got
something to you guys.
Bids, if they're closed and then you announce and then you take somebody's after the fact, that's not right. And you cannot
didn't take-
make it right.
after you look at the bids and reject those bids, you are then open to do any process that you want. You can go back out to bid if you so decide, or you can have a negotiated agreement. It's perfectly legitimate. We do it quite often. We've done it before on sand. Okay? We have the right to do that, as long as we do it in public. And you're saying that if we went out to bid once, we must continue the bidding process until we get it resolved. And I'm saying to you that that is not a required process.
Well, maybe it should be.
I'm
Well-
saying that your bid policy needs to be looked at, because
You need to have one.
yes.
We do have one.
You
It's just
need,
not a written policy.
with all this stuff going out to bid, you gotta have something, that you can go by.
Excuse me.
It goes out with the bid package.
Jim,
Specs.
that Heel Hood missed the deadline on their bid. They shouldn't have even been involved in this.
Well, at first
No,
the bids
you
weren't
don't understand.
rejected.
Once we rejected the bids, the choice was for the board to either go back out to bid, or if they had another opportunity, or found another opportunity, they could use that.
But
The only
Mr.
requirement is
Pulsifer-
that it be public.
Mr. Pulsifer, you did not reject the bid, though.
You didn't reject the bid.
I don't
tabled the
remember the exact
bid
details.
to see the $500
We
difference
wanted to
between
see
the
what
two.
difference was between the
You
two.
did not reject those bids. You never said, let's reject these bids. You said, let's table it to see the difference between the $500 between the two. You never rejected the bids.
Never did.